Okay, so hemp desperately needs a rebrand. It needs a new marketing tactic, and I think we're slowly getting there. But in order to speed up the process, we need more people to talk about it, and more people uh, of different spectrums of not the hippie. I want to tell you about two people, um, and how they're related. One is a dude from Pennsylvania who left the sort of conservative area and decided to move to California. In his van, took a 3 month road trip in the pursuit of happiness and music. This, that, and the third. So he's got some somewhat hardcore hippie tendencies, but he doesn't consider himself a hippie, and he's kind of, doesn't really consider himself to be anything. Now we got the other guy number two. He is a pretty successful salesman at a corporate job, pretty conservative, um, and yeah, that's all I can say about him. I can't go into too much detail compared to the first guy, because the first guy's me, and the second guy is one of my coworkers. The commonality between them, despite maybe political views or certain lifestyle views that differences that we may have, is he was actually the one. I'm sort of the hippie-ish type guy, but he was the one who put me on to how great and fascinating hemp as a fiber and a product really is. Now, like I mentioned, he's one of the top salesmen at the company that I work for. I work in the warehouse. So I was just kind of picking his brain. I heard him talking about textiles with a client over the phone, and we're not in the textiles industry. So I asked him about it a few days later, and he was telling me all the great properties of hemp, and how it's getting into the construction business. He concluded our conversation by, as a proper sort of sales and business minded, individual, he was like, marketing runs the world, and that's what really ultimately needs to be changed about hemp. And he's on a similar journey to me, where I'm trying to abstain from polyester and plastic based fabrics, and he is starting to get sick of that as well. So I want to be part of like the change to abstain from said plastic based fabrics and put something like hemp, in the mainstream market. But people like me and more hardcore, like hippie types, stoner types, have been the ones trying to advocate desperately for things like hemp, outside of just the marijuana industry. But people aren't listening because they look at the stigma behind hemp and marijuana and stoners and all that stuff, and they don't listen. So we need more regular people like that salesman or mainstream celebrities or whatever to talk about it, to get it more popular and common.